our first annual Civic Service Awards program. Right off the bat, there's somebody that I must thank. This lovely setting that we're in this evening is provided by Sharon Metz of the California History Center, and I wonder if Sharon is in the room. No, as soon as we started, she decided that she would leave so that she would miss this introduction. Anyway, we're here tonight at the gracious invitation of the California History Center. I know it's a little crowded, but we do have chairs in the outer gallery if you feel that you need to sit down after a brief period of time. At this point, I would like to acknowledge the string ensemble that you heard as you were arriving this evening. They are all Cupertino residents, and they had to leave because they are playing in the San Jose Symphony tonight. They are Joanne Tanner, Cheryl Pippin, and Greer Ellison. At this point, I would like to present to you the Mayor of the City of Cupertino, Mr. John Gatto.
Thank you, Steve. Well, it's nice to see such a wonderful crowd here this evening. On behalf of the council, tonight we have Councilwoman Barbara Rogers, Councilmember Phil Johnson, and both Councilmember Plungy and Reese Sparks aren't able to be here tonight, but they also extend their heartfelt invitation for you to be here this evening. It's really a pleasure to see such a group. I tell you, this is the first annual, and we hope to have many more of this type of award ceremony. Cupertino is such a quality city, and the quality of that city is represented by the citizenry. And this presentation this evening, these awards, are an attempt to recognize that quality. Before we start with the actual presentations, I'd like to take just a few minutes and briefly bring you up to date on some of the things that have occurred in the city in the last year or so. I think you might find of some interest to you. First off, we've had a Sister City program, which has been going on for a number of years now with the city of Toyotawa, Japan. Earlier this year, a delegation from the city of Toyotawa, headed by its mayor, Yamamoto, visited our city and were very gracious and presented us with a whole series of cherry trees. And if you notice over at the Memorial Park, we have 200 cherry trees now which grace that area around the perimeter, and we have our own cherry blossoms ready to begin. This year also marked the beginning of a Sister City program with the city of Ivrea, Italy. Ivrea, Italy is the parent, or is the hometown for Olivetti. It's the world headquarters for the company of Olivetti. Olivetti is also represented in Cupertino, and through their efforts, quite frankly, is where the Sister City program began. Earlier this year, several council members went over there, and we had the beginning of the actual Sister City program with a formal presentation. We also had the privilege to experience the Winter Carnival that they invited us to see. Fabulous event. One of the highlights was what they call their Orange War. They actually have teams that go through the city and throw oranges at each other. You haven't seen it. We thought we'd bring that here to this. Started in the city here at the local high school. They put the staff and the faculty in the carts, and the kids would stand down with the oranges and maybe have a little thing going. Also, earlier this year, we were very gracious to have Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth visit our city. Myself and David Packard had the rare privilege and honor to meet both Her Majesty and Prince Philip. Just to share a couple of insights that I felt for her. The Queen I found very quiet. She, the time I was in her presence for about 20 minutes or so, I don't think she smiled or did much. She just went very demurely about her business. The Prince, on the other hand, was truly a Prince Charming. He was very friendly, outgoing, and as I've told other people about this event, I think the one thing I found most striking was how short the Prince was. I had always pictured Prince Philip as 6'2", and he's about my height, believe it or not. On a little more serious note, last year we had a police and fire study completed within the city. There was a concern about whether we should be having, and the level of service that we're receiving from the police and fire, which are presently now offered by the county. We're on a contract basis for both police and fire. The study basically indicated that we're probably some $400,000 away from being able to support our own police and fire, to provide the same service, same level of service, just on an operating basis. There would be an additional startup cost for all the capital improvements, police station, whatever else we were to build. time see if they become closer together, if in fact it becomes more profitable to have our own police and fire. So at this point, as things stand, we're not going to change the status quo in that standpoint. Some of the other things that have been happening at the city, we've had this year marked the culmination of a fairly long, extended general plan study. It started about 2 years ago with the formation of a goals committee. They presented some new directions they'd like to see for the city. That went through a whole series of general plan hearings, and it's basically winding up at the council level now. I think one of the highlights and the key points of that study was a formation or development, or at least a resolution of perhaps some of the traffic considerations in town. We know that one of the main concerns that there is in this community is on the traffic problem. And I think we now have at least a program which we have identified where some of the concerns are, and we'll try and implement corrective measures. We are also, as part of that, looking at the traffic system as just that, as a system that is citywide as opposed to intersection by intersection, and we'll deal it on a citywide basis. One of the other little areas in town that received some special study over the last year was Monte Vista. There is a definite feeling that Monte Vista is a unique part of this community, and up to now it had not had any special recognition. We now have a section within our general plan that deals very uniquely with Monte Vista and what can be put there and how it should look and some design standards. So I think that over the next few years we should see some peculiar uniqueness develop at the Monte Vista area. Another area that is of concern, I'm sure, is the surplus school sites that we hear about. The school sites, in many cases, represent part of the recreational space that this community enjoys, and quite frankly, the council is very concerned that we maintain that recreational space. We're in the process right now. In fact, on Monday night, there will be the first of a series of hearings to determine priorities for the school sites, priorities for our parks and recreation facilities, and then an implementation program on how to best meld the school sites that are available with our own needs. Some of the other things that have happened is the library service in this community has been a great concern, and the maintenance of that library service. We're presently supplied our library service by the county. There's a county library system that provides service for the city. We've had to provide some augmentation to the service that the county provides to maintain the Sunday service. That seems to be one of the main things that the community seems to enjoy at that library, is the ability to go there on Sunday and enjoy its facilities. The council's policy is to continue to maintain that. We'll certainly try and, if nothing else, but improve the library service. We have had within the community the evolution of a cable TV setup. Right now, the cable is probably 50% saturation of the areas that they have identified to receive cable. There's one little bit of dichotomy which has occurred in the community, which has presented a little bit of a problem with cable TV, is that a portion of the community was annexed from San Jose a few years back, and that portion is served by Guild Cable, while the remainder of Cupertino is served by United Cable. Because of the infrastructure that was in place, we were unable to change that, so we still now have part of the community that's served by Guild, which has a different programming setup than the United Cable, which serves the rest of the community. And that's somewhat unfortunate because we have things like telecasts of the council meetings, I'm sure you all watch diligently, and planning commissions, which are even more exciting, that portion of the community doesn't have the opportunity to enjoy. But one of the benefits that we did get out of the cable TV is there's now a public access channel, which is headquartered right here at De Anza College. It's co-located with De Anza. It's channel 30 on the listing for those of you that have United Cable. And in fact, this proceeding right now is being videotaped that we hope sometime in the future to put on channel 30. So those of you that will receive awards with you tonight, will watch the scene, we'll let you know what that's going to be about, and go home and watch yourself on television. Okay. So without any further ado, I think we will begin with the awards. And what I'd like to do at this point is present it back to Steve to introduce the awards, and then the presentations will be made. Thank you.
This evening, we are recognizing individuals and organizations who have contributed to the quality of life in Cupertino during the last calendar year. The nominations came from the community at large. A lot of your friends and peers thought enough of you to nominate you for recognition tonight. Some of the people recognized have been contributing in this community for some time. Some of the people recognized tonight may have done one single act in 1982 that warrants our coming together and saying thank you. All of the recipients tonight are indicative of the kind of community that this is. It takes a total community effort in order to make this the kind of place, the special place that it is. At this point, I would like to begin with the first classification of awards. It seems as if when you try to put on an awards program, it's important to start defining who and how recognition should occur. In an area like community service, so much of it is overlapping. But nonetheless, we have come up with some classifications. Quickly, those classifications are youth awards, cultural arts, education, volunteerism, recreation, and community service. The people that we'll be recognizing tonight all reflect those particular examples of community service. Simply stated, the city is taking a moment to stop and say, thank you. We appreciate what you're doing for your community. Let's get on with the first classification. First classification is Youth Award. This evening we are recognizing two young people whose academic achievements reflect the standards that we feel are invaluable in this community. But not only academic standards. They have excelled in at least some of the following areas: scholarship, the arts, student government, athletics, community and civic involvement. At this time, by the way, we have no restrictions on applause. At this time, I would like to introduce Councilmember Phil Johnson, who will make the presentations for the Youth Award.
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to have it as an honor for me to be participating in the award presentation tonight. And as I call out the names, please come forward. The first recipient for the Youth of the Year is Susan McCarthy. The second recipient is Maria Navrides.
Second classification is cultural arts. Here we are trying to reflect the efforts of a person or an organization that adds to the cultural enrichment of the community, either through a personal contribution or achievement or sponsorship of a culturally enriching program. Again, Councilmember Phil Johnson will present the award.
This year's recipient is the Fine Arts League of Cupertino.
Third classification is education. Here we are recognizing the efforts of an individual or an organization which has a positive impact on the education in Cupertino. Nominees include staff, administrators, parent volunteers, classroom volunteers, and teachers. Again, Mr. Phil Johnson will present the awards in this classification.
Our first recipient is DeSelms.
The next classification is volunteerism. Of course, most of the people recognized tonight are volunteers. But what we are looking for in this particular area is a representation that runs the whole gamut of volunteer service. Individuals who have contributed in a number of facets within the community. And it's probably very surprising that they're here tonight, if they're here tonight, based on some of the time commitments that it must take to meet those volunteer assignments. Again, Mr. Phil Johnson will present the award.
Our first recipient is Cheryl DeLoe. Our next recipient is Les Trubell. And our final recipient is Betsy Bellis, and I understand that Edwin Bellis will be accepting for her.
The next classification is recreation. Here we are acknowledging participation in leisure activities which afford opportunities for citizens of Cupertino to join together for the purposes of leisure. Nominees include individuals who contribute their time and talents to sports activities, teams which achieve a measure of success that warrants recognition by the community, those who provide recreational opportunities for people who might not otherwise be able to participate due to physical or financial limitations. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Councilmember Barbara Rogers, who will make these presentations.
I'll echo Councilman Johnson. It's an honor to be here doing this tonight. It's probably the nicest thing I do in 4 years. Under the area of recreation, first, Mary Foster. Dorothy Varian. Cupertino Cosmos. And accepting was Tim Thompson. Rianza Cupertino Aquatics. And accepting was Tony Barnes. And lastly, Zambonin. If I'm saying that.
Final classification is community service, and obviously this is probably indicative of all the things we've talked about up to now. It is certainly the broadest of the categories. We are recognizing individual acts, formulation of a program which services the community, or achievements which bring recognition to the city by the virtue of the person or the organization performing that service. Again, Councilmember Rogers will make these presentations.
Accepting for Cupertino Kiwanis Club, Bob Harrison. Alma Dippel. Joseph Brown.
this time I present to you Pat Ravizza, Joyce Balger, Sharon Holman, and Gail Greenbrook.
Everybody's full of jazz ball in the loving land of jazz. Take me to the land of jazz. Let me hear the kind of blues that Memphis has. I wanna step to a tune that's full of ginger and depth. Pick 'em up and lay 'em down. Learn to do the razzle jazz. Let me give you a warning. We won't get home until morning. Everybody's full of jazz ball in the lovely land of jazz. It was down in Tennessee that the jazzy melody originated. Then waited for popularity, known in every cabaret. It's the only thing they play. I love to hear it, must be near it. That's why I say, take me to the land of jazz. Let me hear the kind of blues that Memphis has. I wanna step to the tunes full of ginger and depth. Pick 'em up and lay 'em down. Learn to do the razzle jazz. Let me give you a warning. We won't get home until morning. Everybody's full of jazz ball in the loving land of, in the jazzy land of, in the loving land of jazz. In the loving land of
Thank you. It's fun to be here tonight among all of you celebrities receiving awards. We have a song that we enjoy doing because it tells a little bit about history that you probably don't normally read in your history books. It's about somebody who discovered America, and you might recognize her from this song.
History lesson for the kids.
She's a school teacher. She probably.
In 1492, the ship sailed out to sea, the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Marie. And as they sailed the stormy sea on that historic day, from Puerto to the Cross Nest you could hear Luigi say, "Please, Mr. Columbus, turn the ship around.
part. Sharon sings all those low notes. It's not one of these men back here. And I sing baritone, which is sort of everything left over. That's normally. But our next song, we're going to switch around a little bit. Maybe we could move over and you could let me go this way. Just a little bit so they can see, and maybe we'll dedicate this to one of the gentlemen here.
Well, you can
know, it seems inevitable when more than two people get together that we have to make an announcement like this. There is a Honda Civic, a silver one, license number 1BBM945. Your lights are on. It's not any of us. And now we come to the final portion of our program this evening. A portion that we hope will become a time-honored tradition here in Cupertino. That tradition being the presentation of the City Award. The City Award has been created this year to recognize exceptional efforts in contributing to the quality of life in Cupertino. This might be our version of the Oscar or the Emmy or the Grammy. This is an award that is given with a great deal of gratitude and hopefully received with a great deal of prestige. I would like to present Mayor John Gatto to make these presentations.
Thank you again, Steve. I think it would be remiss to begin this portion without paying a special thank you to Steve and his staff for putting this whole thing together. Please. Believe me, this thing takes a lot of work, and Steve's put a lot of hard hours into this, and I think it really shows. The first recipient of the city's award is a gentleman who's been active in the community for many, many years. He served 8 years on the Cupertino Library Commission. He's been 3 years on the advisory committee for the television. He served on the 25th anniversary committee. He's been a very active member of the Friends of the Library. It gives me great pleasure to make the first award to Joe Gruber.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As I said on another similar occasion at a city council meeting, receiving an award like this can come in very handy. Because when your wife says, "Just where were you on Tuesday nights the last 5 years?" Now I have something to prove. I'm delighted that she joined me here tonight, so she knows where I am tonight, too. I just want to mention that recently I mentioned to some friends in another community here that the city of Cupertino was initiating these awards, and they were very favorably impressed. Apparently, there are few, if any, other communities which have instituted a similar program. And one friend in Moscow said, "You must have a very considerate city council that takes the trouble and time to recognize people who try to do things for the community." And so I am deeply grateful, as I know you all are, to the city council for being so sensitive to our needs and our wishes. And I certainly can assure you it's been a personal pleasure and privilege for me to do whatever little I have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. If I know you're going to have that testimonial, they give you 2 awards. The next recipient is a lady that has been in Cupertino for many, many years. Has been deeply involved in all facets of the community. She's a member of the Sierra Club, member of the Cupertino Garden Club, member of the League of Women Voters of Cupertino. It gives me great pleasure to name the next recipient, Nancy Hertert. Thank you again, Nancy. The next recipient is another lady specifically in dealing with the library and developmental education. Developmental education. It gives me great pleasure to make the next recipient, Elaine, Otani. Better than cat, just they don't say too much. I need that, I try to scare them all away. The last recipient is a gentleman that I've known for a number of years and has been active in a whole variety of facets throughout the community. Steve mentioned that this was a sort of an omnibus type of an award. Here's a gentleman that has served in almost every capacity throughout the community. Just briefly listed some of the activities he's been involved in. Cupertino National League, Cupertino Rotary, Northwest YMCA, American Youth Soccer Association, California Youth Soccer Association, host for foreign visitors, and board of directors of Reglan Water. It gives me great pleasure to make the last recipient, Jim Walker.
I think it's only fitting that you should know that tonight, coming here, took a little decision because I should be playing softball over at Memorial with a softball team, but even perhaps more fitting is the fact that the softball team is a co-educational softball team, and I really feel that this is a co-educational award because I'd like to have my wife, Linda, stand up because everything I've done truly say that everything I've done has been a combination effort of the two of us, and I accept it on behalf of both of us. Thank you.
The last award in the community-wide award is to an organization. It's the Cupertino High School Interact Club. This is a group of some 60 high school students, boys and girls, who have been active in a whole variety of efforts throughout the community. And again, I'd like to just read a brief list. If I read you the whole list, we'd be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. They provided volunteers for dances for the retarded, the CAR, which is the Community Association of the Retarded. They provided volunteers for the first annual Agnes 10-kilometer run. They decorated and served Thanksgiving dinner at Martha's Kitchen in San Jose. They provided volunteers to help supervise the Special Olympic bowling tournament. They would Christmas caroling in Saratoga Place, supported an orphan in Brazil through their own donations, and the list goes on and on. Is there someone here to accept for the Interact Club? I think we just need one last round of applause for all recipients this evening. Well, I can say for myself, and I know for the rest of the council, it was truly a pleasure to be able to do this, and we hope that, like I said, this is the first of many more years of the same event. We have some refreshments outside the door there. We would invite you to partake, and we thank you one and all for participating.